It's been with us for thousands of years. So only last 100 years, since we discovered the artificial fertilizers, the people started relying on those to farm. We come from Croatia. My uncle was farmer before Second War. Farming there was not called organic, biodynamic, natural. It was just normal farming. You never planted only one crop, and the fertility of soil was maintained, not through a university's teachings, but rather from father to son.
My father was born in a very small, very poor village in Croatia, which was part of Yugoslavia at the time. And he learned how to make wine from his father and from his grandfather. Because they were poor, they made everything that they consumed. And of course they did it naturally because there was no other way to do it. It was something that was very close to his heart. One of the things that he took with him to America was his passion for farming naturally, as well as for making wines in the most natural way possible. When he was working at Chateau Montelena, there was a wine that he made, a 1973 Chardonnay, that was taken without his knowledge to Paris and entered in a tasting now known as the Judgment of Paris, where it bested all of the best white Burgundies as well as a number of California wines. And that tasting went on to make Napa Valley world famous. Since our founding in 1977, we actually started acquiring more and more vineyards, so that by 2003, we were fully estate grown. We own 366 planted acres. They've been farmed naturally, organically since the year 2000, and we produce all of our wines from those grapes. Over the years, we started producing more wine because there was such a great demand for it. But we decided at some point that we did not have the same level of control by making 90,000 cases of wine. So we deliberately chose to stay estate grown and have complete control of our grapes, stay small, and be able to produce wines that we can be completely proud of.
Unfortunately, when you want to be an organic farmer, you cannot go to universities and study. Today, most universities teach chemical farming. So how do I learn this? Through many advisors, through lots of old books, farmers' almanacs from 150 years ago, to kind of learn how to properly farm. For us, this was a simple choice. This is what worked in Croatia, and we knew that it produces most flavorful grapes and produces healthy farm. Polyculture is crucial for success, and what is beautiful about organic farming is simplicity and use of all living creatures on the farm. So underground we have microbes, which unfortunately nobody is studying these days. But if you know how to feed them, then they produce all food for grapevines. So you do not have to rely on artificial fertilizers. It's such a mystery surrounding all that. For me, is the most fascinating subject.
Grgich is definitely an iconic winery and has been part of what Napa growth has experienced over the past 4 years. So there's of course a big expectation whenever they walk through the door. And when they see that big property, that might be a little bit overwhelming from the outside. Whenever they walk in, it's very simple, humble, discreet, down to earth. It's really keeping the feel from the early 70s when the winery started, and that's what we want to keep. We want to keep that humble approach to every single experience that we're offering when everybody walks through the door. I would say fortunate to live in an area where everything is grown primarily through the state of California. So there's a lot of self-consciousness as far as of what is the produce that you're getting from whether the vineyard, whether it's the land through your glass or your plate. And we are definitely grown in that aspect. We've been organically farmed for many years. A lot of the younger generation who might be looking for this more natural farm and produce wine, and which we are. We entirely organically farm. We don't use pesticide, herbicide. We do everything as naturally as possible from the vineyard to your glass. That's exactly what our philosophy is.
Our inspiration for farming comes from nature. Only nature is perfect. I learned everything from my uncle, so by staying small, very focused, very involved, and that's what ensures consistency. We are very proud when somebody notices consistency. We hear these stories. Your Chardonnay was the first one I tasted 40 years ago, and I still love it. It feels so good because in this business, obviously, you make people very happy, and that's the ultimate goal.
My father was taught by his father to every day do your best, learn something new, and make a friend. And that's not just about making a friend every day. It's about how do you treat your fellow employees? How do you treat your managers? How do you treat your customers when they walk through the door? You know, they're all part of our family. And that family connection and those relationships are really at the core of what drives us to make some of the best wines in the world. Because wine brings people together, makes them happy, and it brings joy and harmony to everyone.